Good evening and welcome back to the Mindful Model Maker's workshop. Tonight I've got this little track. I didn't make this, by the way. I think it may be a Loco remote track because he does give you the files to 3D print this yourself, and I think somebody must have 3D printed this themselves, made this lovely little baseboard and glued it on. So what I'm gonna do with it is this. I see it advertised on eBay. I think I paid about 25 quid, including the postage, which I didn't think's bad really, because the baseboard's been made really nice. And what I'm going to do is use this bit here as like a depot. I bought a couple of bits off eBay which I'm going to make tonight, put them on here, paint them. I will ballast the track. I'm going to put the static grass down, not all tonight, but probably over the next 2 or 3 nights, and make this as like a little desktop railway. So obviously, Mindful Model Maker, one of my things is that I work on the computer a lot during the day, and really every now and again you should take 10 minutes. Well, you've got this little layout. Plus the other thing is there's lots of people that come in and chat various things. If you had this just running around, it's just something to take your mind away from your work. So, there's lots of kind of stress toys you can buy and sit, but I'm not really into all that. But this, I could whirl this round. Sometimes some youngsters come in. I could just whirl it round a few times. You've seen this running. It runs off my phone because Loco Remote is a remote control, which is you use your phone to control it, and it works very well. There are a couple of videos on my channel so that you can see that if you want to, and I'm sure later on as we get on, that's it. Then what I will do after that, I will make this as a part that drops in to a bigger railway, because as you go on the traverser, you've got this traverser here which will slide it onto this section, and then it will go around, slide back onto that section, and then it will go off onto a layout which would be some kind of like little quarry type thing, which obviously is what these would do, because that's the idea of them, that they can tip in either direction, so, and load up and unload the stuff. There'll probably be just one wagon fitted to that, because they were only a very small engine, so they wouldn't pull a lot, because obviously you've got the weight of him, the weight of the vehicle, and the weight of whatever you've got in the bin. So yeah, anyway, right, so what I'm going to do first, a little Loco platform, because the idea, I'll have that here. I've got an oil drum coming as well, which I want to put on that because that can be the fuel. And I've also got a little small line side shed. All these things are available on eBay. All you need to do is go onto eBay, go into SM32, or you could go 16mm garden railway, whatever, and these things will come up and you can order them yourself. So it says on here that 16mm SM32 or G scale. It will do any of that. So it's basically for garden railways. So I've got a little tiny platform and a small line side shed. Now these are made out of resin. Now I used to do a lot of resin moulding myself over the time. I've made several things from resin. I don't do so much of it now. I tend to just buy, because you've got to make moulds and things, and I've made the moulds and I've tried doing various bits and pieces, and yeah, I mean, I could make a quick mould if I wanted to now to make bits, as on some of my videos you can see that I've recreated some various bits and pieces for these. So anyway, that's the platform of it. These are the 2 bits, and then there is a step. Let's get the right bit for the step, which is that. So all there is 5, that's the door, we don't want that bit. There's 4 pieces altogether to make this little platform. Right, as with most resin, you kind of get a bit of flashing where it's made in the mould. You can probably see on there where it got a little bit more raised up. So we'll need to just kind of rough that a bit. But what we need to do first is to take these rough edges off. So I will take them off. It makes a kind of a dust. I suppose really I should wear a mask, but I don't think it's going to hurt me too much. So just take these bits off here. The secret with all this, to make it look like, because it's obviously got the indentations and various bits on the top there, to make it look like wood, big planks of wood that you'd have on something industrial like this. And just, you can just make the edges a little bit more rougher if you want to. You've only got to put a file in the grooves and just bring them in a little bit deeper, just to make it look like the ends of the bits of timber, which is what I'll probably do actually, because it's a very simple thing to do, and it's just going to make it look a little bit more realistic really. One of the reasons I'm doing this is because there's no reason, even though primarily this is garden railway, there's no reason why you can't have a small railway indoors. I mean, if you've got a younger child perhaps that's getting interested in trains and things, yeah, there's all the normal 00 stuff, but with a lot of it now, with all the sound chips in, DCC control, it's not really for a small child that's getting into this. Whereas this, I mean, my grandson was here the other day. I showed him the basics on the phone, how to make it go forward and how to stop it, and the first and second gear bit on there. And he's what, 2? And well, most children nowadays with a mobile phone, they're better than most adults. So he got the hang of it, and that's it. There's no wires trailing anywhere. All right, he's got your phone, but he's sitting down with it. So as long as he's not out, next to water or something like that, but just think about it and sit near and just keep an eye. He was quite happy watching it go round, because that's what a lot of children do. And because it's bigger, it's also got it's got a bit of a play aspect as well, because if you made something that went to somewhere to pick things up and then went to somewhere else to drop it off, it's got a little bit of a kind of a play thing to it as well for children. That's my view. I mean, if you go out and you spend 200 or 300 quid on a really nice authentic looking loco, and they come back and say, look, Dad, this has just fell off, because obviously they're not built for small people, and of course the prices aren't either. Now, all right, this was £100, well, 90 odd pound, but that's got everything, the radio control, and all you got to do is get the batteries, but even they're quite inexpensive, and they last for quite a long time. So I think this is probably a better thing to get somebody interested in. And of course, you could go off and take them, I don't know, to somewhere like Amberley. It depends on where you live, but there's a lot of preserved railways that were based around quarry type things. It doesn't have to be a big mainline engine flying along with 10 coaches on and all the rest of it, So I think this is another way of getting younger people into railways. And of course, it's that much bigger, and easier for smaller hands, I think. So we've roughed that round there, and we've cut in a few little notches round the edge just to make the timber look a bit more like timber, I suppose. Right, so what I need to do on here is kind of just rough this up a bit, so that when the best thing to stick resin together with is super glue. I've found that over the years. So these are the bits that go underneath the platform, like so. They just glue on like that. And the little bit at the end, like so, is for the step to go on. Okay. So again, we need to flatten that the best we can. There's no actual instructions to put it together. There's just a picture. It shows you a picture there of what you do. And that's it. It doesn't really matter too much as long as these go not too close to the edge. Bring them in a bit, makes the step overlap a little bit there as well. So yeah, just have a little dummy run if you're not sure. But I mean, I've done so much resin stuff over the years that and of course I've cast my own. I made a plate layers hut once and had it on a real garden railway. Left it out all the summer. The only thing, it doesn't like direct sunlight. If it's too thin, if it's not braced, it will kind of warp a little bit in direct sunlight. So yeah, not perhaps good to put it in direct sunlight. But yeah, I never had no problem with it too much. It was out there in all weathers. Rain and things like that don't affect it. I don't think snow would really affect it. The thing is to keep it out of direct sunlight is what I would say. So we've done that like that. We're still just notching some of the wood just to make it look a bit like timber. So that's that. Get that a bit flatter for where the steps got to go. Like I say, it doesn't really matter too much. I'm sure that if they built something like this in real life, it would be quite rough and ready. So yeah, but it's a good bit of fun. Right, so there we are. We got that. Work out which end you want the step. I don't think it really matters too much, but you've got to decide on which way. So if you want the step, that end, that's got to go there, and just turn it up like so. And roughly get it to where you want it there. Get it there, like that. I think that's far enough in. Right, so all I'm going to do now is get my trusty super glue, Gorilla super glue. I haven't got the one with me with the brush on this time. I've got this one, but it's quite controllable, this one. I should say that, and then nothing will come out as usual. So just put a little line on there. Like so. That's all you need to do. Then the secret, give it a tap to knock the glue down. Because I don't know if you know, I think I have said it before, the super glue sets with the lack of air. So of course, if you block up the hole at the top and you don't use it for some time, you could find that that's it, and then that one will go there. So now we start cleaning this one up. And also I like to clean the end off so that it doesn't stick to the lid. And always have a look down on the inside to see if the little hole is open. And the other thing you can do is blow, or if it is blocked, put something down in it. So that's okay for the moment. I'm going to put the lid on it like that because if you've seen some of my earlier videos, I'm prone to knocking things over. But it's not going to pour out because it's not that runny. It's just the right consistency, really, that for using for this type of thing. So anyway, I better come so you can see what I'm doing. So as I get carried away making things, and then I forget that I'm not in view of the camera. You might be getting fed up already of watching somebody filing some bits of resin, but the idea really is I put this together kind of very quickly so that you can see roughly what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I can't wait to start getting the ballast, paint the sleepers, paint the rails, and make it look quite realistic, which you can do quite easily. That's the good thing with this gauge, that you don't need a lot of things to go on. The thing is, with the bigger, the more detail in one sense you have to have, but you don't have to have so many things around. So you might have to detail it just a little bit more, because obviously if you were, say, working in N gauge, you wouldn't see a lot of the detail because of the size of it. But because we're working in a larger gauge, you can see things quite clearly. So it does need sometimes to be a little bit more accurate, and you can go to town a little bit more. But you don't need so many things. So that's the way I look at it. I started off with double O, and I still got the free rail Hornby stuff, which is just something I really like. But if I'm going to play trains, I prefer now to do it in this gauge, either gauge 1 or SM32, or you can have it gauged as 45mm as well. So I've got both gauges, and I am building a class 33 as well, which is gauge 1. Right, so there's the other second bit. I've notched the ends a little bit just to make the timber look a little bit more realistic. What I'll probably do with these is spray them in a primer before I start trying to paint them, because what can happen is, because of the stuff in the resin, the paint doesn't always. So if you just give them a light rub down, you could either give it a wash as well, a bit like you would with a plastic kit such as Airfix or other makes, similar, to wash the release. Normally with this, you don't use a release agent, but I'm not quite sure what's in it. So now I'm just going to get that level with that, roughly. Doesn't have to be that accurate. So that's on there like that. Right, now this is the step, okay? So similar thing again, just kind of rough round. The one good thing I do like with a lot of this garden rail stuff, a lot of it's kind of old timber and bits, and I just think I like that rustic look as well. You can go to town with trees and bits. I mean, I did have, where I was living before, I did start to build a garden railway. The one thing with it was, I had one bit where I was level, but the rest was low, and the lower down you got, the harder it is, because as you get older you don't really want to bend down so low. So now if I built another one, which hopefully I will do one day, I would build it higher. Because you could build it up on bricks and you can still have planters. I do have an idea actually of what of a particular one I would like to build, is where you use planters all around and you have the track going round in between the planters, so you can plant your flowers in there. So it's a totally different thing, and of course it makes it more portable if you're going to move or something else like that, because obviously I left quite a bit behind of where my old garden railway was. Whether the new people like that or not, I've got no idea, but there we are. Anyway, so now I can turn that over like so, and then I put the step on, and that's the step like that. Just fits there. Very simple little platform. Right, so all we need to do now is pop a couple of bits of glue on this bit here, on the little bits that stick out like that. That's it, don't want too much really. That's it. Bang that down again. That looks like that there. Just kind of line it up a bit. And there we have the little platform. Okay, I forget how much it was. It wasn't all that dear, but you can look on eBay and they're on there. Or you cast one yourself, or you can get some wood and score the lines in, notch the bits and make one yourself. It doesn't have to be made in resin. The only reason I've done it, it's going to be quite quick to do. So that's that bit. Right, shed. So we'll get rid of those instructions. Have a look at this. So we've got two sides, a door, a bit that goes over the front, which the door must come up to, and a back and a roof. So there we are. That looks quite simple. So I think we'll get the two sides. So again, it's just got some rough bits. The idea of the shed, which is, how's it going? That goes that way. I'm going to put that somewhere like that at the end of the buffers. So it's just going to have a little shed in that corner there, like so. And then there'll probably be an oil drum standing on the platform, and then the loco, when at the end of the day, can come round and they can fill it up ready for when it goes off to work the next day, and tools and things can be kept in the little shed here. That's all it is really. It's just to give some form of interest to this little part of the railway, because I see it on there advertised, and I thought to myself I could turn that into something. So I desperately kept waiting and waiting and waiting, because a lot of times when I bid on things, I don't bid until the last minute. I don't use any kind of sniping software. I do it myself, but I don't show my hand until the very last minute. So nobody kind of knows that. People would know you're watching, because I watch, but I don't put no bids on. The only time I put a bid is if one is just going to be a fixed bid, whether I win it or not. It's just there. I used to do that a lot with the free rail Hornby stuff. I will find something in there, and there might be no bids on it, and I'll just either bid the minimum or just slightly over the minimum and just leave it and forget it. And then I'll have a look a couple of hours later, and then suddenly I'll see an item shown up in my eBay saying that I need to pay for something, and that means I've won it. Or if there's something and I've got to go out at that time and I don't really want to be messing about with phones or computers and things like that, what I will do then is I will just put my maximum bid on or whatever, and just leave it and forget it. If I don't win it, the thing is with Hornby free rail stuff, it's not long before something will come back again similar to what you want. So I'm just doing the ends of this timber up there like so. So that's one side done. Let's find another side. Let's see how this goes. It should be quite good. So I hope you can see again. That's the side like so. So the front is where it raises up the thing, so it will go on something like that. So I think it'll make like an interesting little thing, and then obviously a few bushes growing around it, and might put a little bit of fencing in, something, you know. Probably a bit like I did with the Detectorist one that I built for my son-in-law, which I think he really likes. He doesn't always show, but, you know, I think he did really. But there we are. That's those bits there. A little bit at the bottom just to make sure that that's pretty smooth. You ain't going to worry too much about the inside. It's quite nice on the inside, actually. It's been poured quite well, because if you've worked with this stuff a lot, you'll know when there's a good bit and when there's a rough bit. And I've had a few rough bits where I've poured too much and I've had to file for hours to get rid of it. So you're sometimes better off with a little bit less than too much, because it's a lot of filing to get rid of it. But yeah, I've made lots of casts using resin. So they're the two bits of the shed there, the two sides like so. So I think the best thing to do now is find the back. So I assume that's the back. So we'll get that trimmed up. So I hope I'm not boring you too much by standing here just filing these bits down, but just wanted to show you what I do really for doing these bits, and how quick you can start to turn something that looks a bit plain at the moment into quite a little working model, and something also that is a bit of a thing to get rid of your stress. If you want to watch it run round for 5 minutes while you're having a cup of coffee, just do that. These batteries last for quite a thing. But on the Loco Remote website, he does tell you about a company on eBay that does drone batteries. So you get 4 batteries and the little charger, which you can charge all 4 batteries at the same time, and they will last a long time. So and it is a brilliant system, actually. I think it is. And you know, seeing as children like playing with phones and things, it's I think, quite a good way of operating it, because they can use the phone. Right, so from what I can see on here, that goes on the inside. So we'll take the platform off a minute. So I'm going to use the board, and that is going to glue on the inside, like so. Good. So I'm going to run a bead of glue down this bit here. And of course the fun, now that, oh, there it is. The fun will be in the painting of this and making it look a bit old and rustic. So you can use your weathering techniques, or if you haven't had a go at weathering techniques, this is probably a good thing to start with. It's quite big. You can have a go at it, and of course, if it doesn't come out very good, you can just smooth it off and spray it over with a bit of primer and start again if you want to. So it might be a good way to hone your skills on weathering. The thing is with weathering, and I think I am guilty of it sometimes, is too much, doing too much, not knowing when to stop. So that stands up now, like so. So just to show you where the shed will go, the shed will stand there, just at the back of that. So yeah, that's where that will go. Right, so that's that bit. This bit's cleaned up all right. Bit of dust blowing around. I'll get the little hoover when I finish and just hoover it up instead of keep blowing it around all over the place. Shouldn't really do that, but I do. Right, a bit more glue on here now, the other side, like so. Don't quite go down to the bottom because it might stick the way you don't want it to go. Right, I'll stand it up this time and bring it in like so. And you've got to get it level and squarish, like so. That's it. So that's the two sides put on now. We'll find the roof while we're doing that, which I believe is this bit here. Yep. So the roof has got to go on there. So while that's setting for a minute, I'm going to start tidying up the roof. So there we go. But yeah, there's no reason why. And I've been to a few exhibitions now where they have a garden gauge, even running live steam. I've got some live steam locos, and providing mine are gas, so that they're not running methylated spirit. Methylated spirit is a little bit different, because the thing is with methylated spirits, especially if it's a bright day, you can't always see when it's a light, because if you spill a bit and you light, it's very flammable. It will be burning away, and you might not notice. That's the only thing I would say about running indoors. But a lot of the guys do run things like that indoors, but of course they're experienced to know to keep it. Gas, I mean, obviously with electric stuff, you've got no problem. I wouldn't have small children perhaps running with steam unless they're really, really closely supervised, because the one thing with the steam, you've got to produce the steam, and the only way you can produce that is with heat. And of course, heat burns. So the one thing you can't scale down, doesn't matter how small the loco is, if it works on steam, then it needs the same amount of heat to produce it as a full-size one. So not so much pressure, because it's smaller and it's not so heavy, but the heat, you need the same heat to produce it. So yeah, that's where it can be dangerous. But with this type of thing, there's nothing really that can really cause them any harm. So that's the only thing that I would let them have a go with a live steam loco, but I would be there 100% of the time, just keeping an eye. So there we are, we've done that bit. We'll flatten off the ends here. because always when it's in the mould and you pour it, it gets like where it builds up around the edge, like the capillary bit comes up around the edge, so it's not always flat. That's just the way it goes. But also when you are moulding, of course, make sure when you pour this in, make sure your mould is level, flat and level, because if not, it will pour one end, because I've made them mistakes before. But like most of these things, you do it once and then that's it. Right, there we are with that. That's the roof. I'm not going to put the roof on just yet. I think I will sort out the door first to see how that goes. That's it, like that. That goes across there. Right, so what we'll do now is file around the door. It's quicker than building a full-size shed, but there you are. Just put a bit of grooves in. Don't know if you're going to see that too much because of the bar that goes across, but like I say, I will prime these to get rid of anything, and it just makes the paint stick. And then what paint can I use? Well, I don't know. You can use oil-based, you can use acrylic, and of course I've got weathering powders and I've got weathering colours. I've got a small spray gun which I can use, and I can overspray just to weather it. So as we go along, I'll either show you or tell you what I've done, and so that you can see for yourself. But like I say, it is a good way of weathering. It's quite a big thing to get on with, because even if you didn't have the railway and you wanted to just make a shed and weather it just to have a go, then something this size is quite good. If you get things too small, or especially if they're made of card and you make them too wet, you can have a problem. Whereas this, you could do this over and over again. So in other words, you could spray it all, and then when you've done that, you could spray it again, overspray it, and try something else. So it's probably a good thing to practice on. Right, so what we're going to try and do now is to do this. So a bit of glue down one side of the door. Right, so I'm only going to do one side at a time, because I think it'd be too tricky to try and square the whole thing up. There's too many ways it can move. So, right, I'm going to put that in there like that, and then I'm going to butt that up with that edge. Yeah, it goes on the inside the same as the back does. I've just looked that on there, and they've put arrows to show that. That's it. So I'm just letting that stick for a minute, like so. Seems to be in a bit at the bottom more than it is at the top. It bows a little bit, but then what would a real one look like? Exactly the same. Right, now there's one more little piece that I'm looking for, which is a bit that kind of goes across the top of the door. So what we're going to do here is a bit more filing to make that look a bit more rugged. The good thing is with this stuff, it is lovely to file. You can cut in quite easily and make things look quite realistic. So it does lend itself to lots of kind of bits like that, making it look like wood. There we are. So that can go there. But probably what we need to do first is, that's not glued onto there, is it? No, it is now. And that I'm going to do now is just fiddle around for a minute or two, just to see if we can just pull that square and straight. So I think that's that like that. Looks reasonably square. So what I'm going to do, see, I told you I'd knock it over, but luckily I bought one where it don't pour out. Just going to put a little bit down there in that seam like so, and I'm going to get something like this, and I'm just going to rub that down in so it goes down in the groove. That's it, like that. That like that. Hold that like that. And then once the top's stuck, I'll go down the bottom and do it. So this is roughly the little shed that we're building. That's it. That like that. And move the file. Move that over there like so. Stand that there. And that's roughly where the shed will go. That's where the shed will live. There. Right, you can see the glue's not set yet. So we need to hold it for a few more moments in order to get that. And then of course this bit will go across there. I think it just goes on the top of the door actually. Yep. Just goes on the top of the door. Right. I might put that bit on, which I've just dropped, once I have put the roof on, because I can put the roof and I can butt that up to it. That's the theory anyway. Right, now what I want to do now is put a bit of this down in here to make it stick at the bottom. Now we can get that closer to there. And we can hold that there like so. So it's gripping there like that. Won't take long to dry, but I just want to get it as square as I can. It doesn't have to be perfect. And that's that really. So it's looking quite good at the moment. So the roof, that will go on like so. We'll kind of put that on in a minute, work out roughly how that's going to go, and that will make up the building, the little shed, and that'll have the tools in, spanners and various bits and pieces that they will use, because obviously with a lot of these things, as I've mentioned before, it will be the crew that does most of the repairs. So if something breaks down during the day, it'll be them that's actually working on it. So that's the thing. All right. So at the moment, that's the shed. That's what it'll look like. Because once it's dry, you can go round still and file little bits if you want to. Put some more rough bits in. Just go from there. Right. So I think what we do now, we bring her into the middle here so that we're closer to what we're trying to do. And then we're going to run 2 little beads. Don't want too much glue because the more you put on there, the longer it takes to dry. So I can put a little bit on because I can always turn it upside down and go inside and put some in. Just run that like so. Put that there. Blow off the dust. Yeah, I think we'll just put it like that. So I think what we do, we'll line it up with the back. We've got to kind of get it 50-50 over the sides. We'll come forward a bit like that. Hold it there. Just get it kind of going. And then we'll see how we're going to go from there. So this isn't like watching paint dry, this is like watching glue dry, okay? So there we are. But you think we've made a platform and a small shed in a short space of time. And hopefully within a few days I'll have this looking quite nice, I hope. I hope you think so. You can put in the comments. And the other thing is, if you haven't seen this channel before and you're interested in some of the things that I do a wide variety, carb modelling, all sorts of things. So not everything is for everybody, but hopefully if you're into modelling, there is something on here that you may be interested in. Right, now that bit of wood went down here to the top of the door. So, there we are. That went down there. That's so we're looking, that's what it's looking like at the moment. Then this bit has got a glue on the top of the door itself. So I'm going to lay that like that. I hope it doesn't fall to pieces. Put that there. That's it. And that will just glue on there like that. Right, okay. So all we need is just a bit along there really. So a bit on. That's it. Doesn't need a lot. That's it. I'll put that bit on. That's it. I mean, you could, perhaps if you had some old stickers or so, you could stick on the door, you know, say a BP sticker or Shell sticker or something, an oil thing, something like that on the door. Whatever, if you're good at sign writing, whatever, you could write just something on there, keep out. Just something if you wanted to. The thing is, you have a complete free reign of whatever it is you want to add onto these things as you go along. So I'm just looking at something to make the hole bigger in the end so that I don't lose my glue. Because the amount of times I've lost my glue because it's gone hard. So we'll find something to stick down in there in a minute. Right, okay. So I'm sure you don't want to see me waffling on about glue and various other things. So I'm just going to move that up there because it wasn't quite straight. I'm going to put that there now. That there. And there is the shed. So we've got the shed and we've got the platform. So the idea is that this, come away from the buffer, I'm trying to pick the buffer up at the same time, will come round here like so, and the man can get off in the platform and fill up with fuel there, whatever, and they can go around. There'll be grass, various bits and pieces around, the ballast, paint the sleepers and various things to make it look like a small desktop railway for while I'm working. Then I can take this, put it down in the middle of a bigger layout which will connect up to the end of there, and then it will run off down into the rest of the railway. So this is what I'm up to with this bit of the railway. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you weren't too bored with some of it, but it's quite easy to build these things, and you don't have to be that particular because they weren't. And if you go to some of these type of preserved railways, and there are some around the country, have a look out for them, see if there's anything near you, and go and have a look and get an idea of how they run. They definitely weren't really nice and neat. They were completely the opposite, but to me, I quite like it. Anyway, thank you. Please subscribe if you want to see the rest of the videos, like if you like it, and put a comment if you want to. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye now.